This AI Action Summit happens, and it's a complete fucking disaster. I want politicians to be shitting their pants. I need them to be scared. We need them to be scared, because if they're not scared, nothing is going to happen.
It's like, this isn't a fucking asteroid that's coming at us. It's an asteroid on a remote control by 2,000 people that are your neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to happen. Welcome to For Humanity, an AI Risk podcast, episode number 60, AI Risk Rising. I'm John Sherman, your host. Thank you so much for joining me. For Humanity is the AI Risk podcast for the general public. No tech background required. This show is solely about the threat of human extinction from artificial intelligence. Hey friends, wow, what a terrible 2 weeks it has been for our shared goal of saving humanity from AI doom. We need to be honest and realistic. There are so many truly awful new developments in AI risk, it is hard to know where to start. Take a look at this. This is a brand new book, Catastrophe, The Unstoppable Threat of AI, from my friend and friend of For Humanity, Louis Berman. He has put a lot of hard work into this book. It is a collection of essays about AI existential risk intended to punch the reader in the gut repeatedly. Go out and buy several copies of this book right now. Okay? Pause this show, go to Amazon, buy 10 copies of this book, send them to your friends, your families, and your neighbors. The essay that I wrote for this book is deeply personal, and you will not find it anywhere else. I literally do not want to talk about the dark essay I wrote for this book. It is what I really think the end looks like for me. As you may know, I'm a dad in Baltimore who believes the frontier AI labs like OpenAI when they tell us their technology has the near-term future potential to end all life on Earth, that they do not understand how it works, that they do not know how to control it, and that they spend all their time and money making it stronger, not safer. I'm a citizen journalist on a mission to help the general public understand AI existential risk, and I desperately need your help. I need you to subscribe, like, donate. Links in the show notes. As you know, I always want to know what's on your mind. You can email me at forhumanitypodcast@gmail.com. But more than anything this week, please leave comments in YouTube, okay? And respond to somebody else's comments in YouTube. Those comments are hugely impactful with the algorithm in terms of getting us to new viewers. And there's a lot in this show that is controversial and should cause some debate. We take on a lot of hard topics. Let's talk these issues through in the YouTube comments and boost the algorithm's impact. Okay, so in a shitstorm of bad news, let's keep it going with some good news. In the last 30 days, this podcast has gained more than 50,000 new subscribers on YouTube. That is absolutely incredible. Why? Well, let's just start with the most basic point. We can stop humanity's current default course of self-destruction through advanced AI. We can save ourselves. That's why viewership of this podcast is increasing. All of us here share this belief. As scary as all this is, hope is real. Here is AI risk reduction rising star, Max Winga, with 4 minutes of clarity on exactly just how we can put the toothpaste back in the tube. And we've even done it successfully before.
But in reality, we can stop 99.9% of the usage of these models. If Trump and Xi got into a room and they shook hands, made an international agreement, we need to stop AI progress, we need to, haul this all back. And they made it so that using any open source model was a huge crime. Downloading it, having it in your possession, on your hard drive, certainly running the model, distributing the model, made these significant crimes. They said, any of these things, 20 years in jail, or even harsher penalties. Immediately, every single company in the world would stop using these models. every single research group in the world would stop using these models. Every single academic researcher would stop using these models. Most of the people who are running these things at home would stop using them because they don't want to risk this over using some AI model. And sure, there will be some government hacking groups or individuals who are willing to take the risk and try to use them. But ultimately, again, these models aren't going to scale to super intelligence on their own. And so one guy playing around with DeepSeek might be enough to put misinformation out onto the internet, but is not going to be enough to risk the lives of everybody on Earth. And then on the topic of like the math that's going on with these models, there's this interesting idea that all of AI is just math. You can't just ban math. Well, I wish I had the citation for this, but I saw an interview a while back that was with someone who worked in government national security, specifically around nuclear weapons. And when posed this kind of idea that with AI, there's this thing, oh, you can't ban math. His response was like, actually, yeah, you can. We did this with nuclear physics. There are entire fields of physics that were published. There were papers in academia out there, and we just wiped the world clean of them. And these, like, fully classified these. They don't exist in public anymore. And they could do the same with a lot of AI research. There are very few people in the world who, relatively, who are at the frontier of understanding what's going on with these models. And the world governments certainly know who these people are or could figure it out. There's not a secret cabal of AI researchers that are outside the eyes of the US government or the Chinese government. These people are known. So you could stop all research, you could scrub the internet of the papers, and you could take all of the people who've been working on the models and, at most draconian, worse, we are saving the world, we will make some sacrifices. You assign a spy or a government watch person to every single one of these people and ensure that they aren't designing AI models and aren't pushing the frontier. At the same time, the training runs, kind of going back to then, pushing the frontier, pushing bigger training runs and bigger training runs, they take a massive amount of power. So unless someone sneakily builds a data center running completely locally off of a nuclear power plant or whatever, you'll be able to detect huge spikes of power from these data centers on your grid from a national level. And I mean, I don't need to get more into the weeds here, but essentially the ability to monitor data centers is not, it might get a bit draconian, and the Silicon Valley libertarians are going to squirm, and they're going to hate it, and they're going to whine, and they're going to say, no, this is, breaking all the norms of the internet, and it's such a privacy issue. But ultimately, when the fate of all of humanity is at stake, these are extremely small sacrifices to make. And so kind of going back to an earlier point, this proposing these types of impositions on the world is quite outside the Overton window for most people right now. So a lot of regular people would hear this, and even though they aren't super Silicon Valley libertarian pilled, worried like, we want to build ASI, they would say, I don't know if this is really worth it because I don't believe that superintelligence is coming. So tying this back in, this is where I think a lot of the work of AI safety needs to not just be on shouting out into the void about the risks and the risks alone. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on just educating the public about how powerful AI is getting, and doing so in a non-condescending and also approachable way.
Great job, Max. Thank you for packaging all that up so effectively. That clip is from last week when Max did a whole podcast on his own about X-risk communications. It's great stuff. Link to that in the show notes. So you hear this from so many people. It feels like the easy default escape hatch response. It just can't be done. It just can't be done. It's too hard. There's other countries and there's lots of companies, and it's just too hard to save ourselves. We give up. Let's all just speed off the edge of the cliff. We can't stop ourselves. That is total bullshit. Humanity has coordinated bans and control of lots of different things. The great Twitter account, AI Safety Memes, put together this list. You ready for it? These are the things that we have done in the past that could be a model as we go forward on AI. We could never pause or stop AGI. We could never ban child labor. We just fall behind other countries. We could never impose a ban worldwide on whaling. We could never ban chemical weapons. They're too valuable in war. We just fall behind. We could never ban the trade of ivory. It's too economically valuable. We could never ban leaded gasoline. We'll just fall behind other countries. We could never ban human cloning. It's too economically valuable. We just fall behind other countries. We could never force companies to stop dumping waste in the local river. They'd immediately leave and we'd fall behind. We could never stop countries from acquiring nuclear bombs. They're too valuable in war. They just would fall behind other militaries. We could never force companies to pollute the air less. They'd all leave to other countries and we'd fall behind. We could never stop deforestation. It's too important for economic growth. We just fall behind other countries. We could never ban biological weapons. They're too valuable in war. We just fall behind other countries. We could never ban DDT. It's too economically valuable. We just fall behind other countries. We could never ban asbestos. We just fall behind. We could never ban slavery. We just fall behind other countries. We could never stop overfishing. We just fall behind other countries. We could never ban PCBs. They're too economically valuable. We'll just fall behind other countries. We could never ban blinding laser weapons. They're too valuable in war. We'll just fall behind other countries. We could never ban smoking in public places. We could never mandate seatbelts in cars. We could never limit the use of antibiotics in livestock. It's just too important for meat production. We just fall behind other countries. We could never stop the use of landmines. They're too valuable in war. We just fall behind other militaries. We could never ban cluster munitions. They're too effective on the battlefield. We just fall behind other militaries. We could never ban stricter emission standards for vehicles. It's just too costly for manufacturers. We could never end the use of child fucking soldiers. We just fall behind other militaries. We could never ban CFCs. They're too economically viable. We just fall behind other countries. It can't be done is total bullshit. It presumes all of us dying is an easier lift than all of us living. Fuck that. It's bullshit. Okay, so bring it down a little bit. So there was a new paper from the Center for AI Safety that should have been a major headline on every world newspaper. Lots of wild stuff in this paper, but I'll hone in on one thing. Dear America, it shows that AI models have built-in preferences for certain kinds of people, and Americans are very low on that scale. Do you hear that? Check this table out. These are exchange rates for different lives, where US and UK lives are worth the least, and Nigerian and Pakistani lives are worth far more. Another table, the next table, shows its value of individual lives. It values itself more than the average middle-class American and Bernie Sanders over Paris Hilton, Trump, or Putin. So what are these preferences all about? Well, we can't be entirely sure, but they do seem like fairly objective judgments about giving and taking. The holy shit headline for the American public should have been, the machines they are making in San Francisco that they tell us have the near-term future potential to end all biological life on Earth don't even value American lives. They value Chinese lives more than American lives. Hey, worried about competition with China? How about worry about the competition between how the AI models value our lives? If you live in America, you should know the models do not value your life as highly, despite your country being the AI model's daddy. Get it? There is no loyalty here at all. It does not care that we made it at all. Zero loyalty. All right, on to something else. Here is something that happened just this past Saturday. This is cool and encouraging, and I fucking love these guys. So our friends at Stop AI were arrested in San Francisco for chaining themselves to the front door of OpenAI.
New at 10, protesters gathered today outside the San Francisco headquarters of tech firm OpenAI, concerned that their technology could cause, quote, human extinction.
Your life is at stake. Everything we love is being put at risk by the global race to superintelligence.
The protesters are demanding that OpenAI be shut down and that the government permanently ban the development of artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
Last Saturday, we, Stop AI, had the largest anti-AGI protest ever in front of OpenAI. There were roughly 35 people there.
I love it. 3 Stop AI protesters, Guido Reichstatter, Derek Allen, and Jacob Freeman, were arrested and will likely still be in jail as you are watching this. There is a link in the show notes for the Stop AI Legal Defense Fund. I am supporting it. I think you should too. These guys are the literal front lines of this fight. Go Stop AI. Also this week, Google DeepMind CEO Demis Hassabis and Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei were interviewed on a tiny couch together. They are crying for help.
There are colleagues of ours that we know also who say there's nothing to worry about here, which to me seems insane.
On the eve of something that has great challenges, right? It's going to greatly upend the balance of power. If someone dropped a new country into the world, 10 million, 10 million people smarter than any human alive today, you'd ask the question, what is their intent?
I would advocate for a kind of CERN for AGI. By that, I mean a kind of international research-focused, high-end collaboration on the frontiers of AGI development in the last few steps to try and make that as safe as possible.
Demis says he would advocate for a CERN-type body to oversee his potentially world-ending work project. He would advocate for it. Would? What the fuck kind of language is that, Demis Hassabis? What would it take for Google and you to demand, to actually support a CERN-type body, to actually advocate for it forcefully? What would it take for you to do that? The helplessness these CEOs articulate while they drive the bus off the cliff is truly stunning. Demis, the wheel is in your hands, dude. You're in charge. Fucking act like it. All right, also this week, I audibly gasped at a video of 2 humanoid robots from a company called Helix. Take a look at this video.
Hey, Figures, can you come here? Okay, I'd like to try something new. Even though this is the very first time that you've ever seen these items, I'd like you to use your new Helix AI and try to reason through where you think they belong in the scene, and then work together to put them away. Does that sound good?
that moment when it passes the thing to the other one and they are cooperating, I was like, it is so easy to see where this is all headed. It's not hard. Those robots, our Earth, data center construction like this, then comes AGI, then comes ASI, then comes the end of all biological life on Earth. We have maybe 5 years to stop this and save ourselves, maybe 5 months. So let's get to it. Our guest this week is my friend Joep Meindertsma, the founder of Pause AI Global. We unpack an awful 2-week stretch for AI risk reduction in this interview. So how are you, my friend? It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. That's true. Like, I'm doing pretty well. Also, like, kind of concerned about the state of the world, but mostly doing pretty good. Ironically, like, there's this weird process of compartmentalization that, on the one hand, you have this reality where, you know, AI companies are racing and we're not close to any sort of solution to preventing catastrophe. But on the other hand, I just have a life and a girlfriend, and, you know, I have a company and I do normal things. It's just hard to combine the two.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I do the same damn thing and it's crazy. It feels crazy, right? Like, I'm sure you must 10 times a day have the instant kick up in your head. It's like, oh, here's this life bullshit I'm dealing with. If I was really, you know, a part of the tension is, it's like, if we really truly believe to our core, as I do, but if we embodied that belief in our actions, we wouldn't be doing any of the normal stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing as close as I can while remaining sane. Like,
me too. Yeah.
Just trying to grow an activist movement and reaching out to politicians and lobbying and stuff like that. Right next to having my normal life, it's already kind of a lot. But I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to do this full time for my entire life, because it's just so stressful. And I think this is what's pushing people out also. Like, I've seen this happen in Pause AI volunteers as well. People who care a lot about the topic, but, you know, just that it is so incredibly grim that people get burnt out really quickly. And it's a huge problem. I think this is also happening to our politicians. Like, once these politicians think about what it actually means, right? What their job actually involves, they just become scared of that and stressed. And that makes them basically drop out and not focus on it and ignore how big this threat actually is.
It is don't look up in real life. Like, it really, 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 really is.
Really.
I feel like it's weird. I feel like I have not burned out. I feel like I don't feel like I'm burning out, but I feel like the weight of this thing gets heavier over time, not lighter. Like it feels like the last 2 weeks, for example, have just been horrific weeks for our cause.
Yeah, let's
we
talk
were
about
already
that.
losing. Yeah, so there's almost like there's so many things to list, but let's go straight to Paris and start there. Obviously, the third AI summit, not a lot of safety or risk reduction involved, but so tell me about how the Paris summit, you know, went out from your perspective. And I know there was also another little summit before that was in Paris, a couple days before, that appeared to be something more substantial, obviously more safety focused. But how was Paris for you?
So the summits have been the most important thing for Pause AI and for me personally to focus on, because we cannot expect companies to self-regulate, but we also cannot expect nations to regulate their companies, because we're in a race, right? The US won't slow down, China won't slow down, the EU won't slow down. They're all concerned about winning. And with these winning goggles on, they're not going to regulate on a sensible level. So we need these summits. These are these unique opportunities. And the first AI summit, was organized in Bletchley Park by Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak had this meeting with Sam Altman, Demis Hassabis, Mustafa Sulaiman. Yeah. They were like in a meeting room. We were protesting outside, by the way, that day. I think that was one of the first protests. And they were basically talking about the end of the world caused by AI. Rishi Sunak was scared. He organized the Bletchley Park AI Safety Summit.
He literally, the prime minister said it with his own mouth. He read the statement.
Yeah, and he bought it. He was like, "This is scary. We need to do something." So AI Safety Initiative was spun up. AI Safety Summit was organized. All these countries signing this declaration at the end of it. It seemed kind of hopeful at the time, right? And then they passed on the stick, basically, to South Korea and France. And this when things started to look a little bit less hopeful, because the Korea summit, it was going to be a mini virtual summit, which doesn't match, the importance of the topic at all. And then the France summit was slowly, you could see some news leaking from France. They were calling it the AI Action Summit. The head of that summit organizer was, what was her name? Anne Bouvereau. And Anne is like a complete AI skeptic. She doesn't think she doesn't take any of the risks seriously. She compares AI with calculators, right? It's just a tool, nothing can go wrong. She clearly has no idea what she's talking about when it comes to AI safety. And she is put in a position where she leads this summit. Now, this AI Action Summit happens, and it's a complete fucking disaster. Pause AI has been protesting in 15 cities all over the world to make this summit focus on safety. But it was very clear from an early moment on, that's not going to be the focus at all. It's only about, some DEI politics stuff, but mostly just friends trying to get a lot of money. The game is really, really fucking nasty, right? There are some rumors that France's AI company Mistral, their CEO, Arthur Mensch, is friends with Macron. This is not a secret at all. And now, EU is calling for a 200 billion euro investment in AI, which includes a 20 billion investment in AI compute. And all of this is just happening around this summit, right? This is about money. This is about France trying to get money from the EU. And it is such an insult to anyone who has been involved in this thing from the get-go. I'm just so fucking pissed at this. We're talking about the potential end of humanity. We're talking about the most dangerous technology ever to be created. Geoffrey Hinton, Nobel Prize winner, inventor of neural networks, basically talking about his Nobel Prize acceptance speech about how this technology could lead to human extinction. Most AI scientists are saying this. And then the politicians are just thinking about making some money. What the fuck is happening? Yeah,
it's yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate the fire and the emotion and the fucking curse words and all the shit, man. Yeah, this is the tone. This is not la-di-da, everything's fine. This is the building was on fire and they just took the fire truck and dumped gasoline and not water on the building.
Yeah, that's the state. That's the state that we're in. Someone else said, we're not cooked yet, but we're in the pan, and the water is heating up, and the lid is on. Right? We're not in a good position at all. We still have some time to make this right, but we need to feel the urgency. We need to feel that this shit is real, and we need to act on it. And it's not a fun mindset. As I'm saying this right now, I can feel my heart race. Right? I'm now in this state where I can feel this energy, and it's just not a fun place to be in. My brain wants to look away. I want to get back to dinner. I want to make some fish in the oven and eat some potatoes or whatever. I don't want to be in this state, but we need to. We collectively need to. I want politicians to be shitting their pants. I need them to be scared. We need them to be scared, because if they're not scared, nothing is going to happen. They're just going to go to their job. This week, I had the opportunity to speak at the UN, which I really like. I like having that opportunity to get some adults in the room to listen. And there were 20 other people talking about AI governance. I think there was one other person who mentioned existential risk from AI, but no one there felt it, right? There is just this collective denial. Nobody wants to feel the urgency of the situation. And that's what sucks so man. But this isn't a big technical issue, right? It's not too complex or whatever. It's just our psychology is in the way. We don't want to feel the bad things.
Totally. There's nothing hard to understand about the case why AI is going to kill us all. The hard thing is to understand that some fellow humans of ours have put us in this position.
Absolutely.
You know, and continue to, and continue to come to work the next day, the next day, the next day, and further the effort, despite their obvious knowledge of what they're doing and the dangers of what it entails. Like, what the fuck?
We need these people to go to work and work on, further developing AGI or whatever. Just say what you feel. Just open up. Be honest. Right?
What do you think about this as an idea? This is something that occurs to me that I don't even fucking know, but it's like, so we have two groups of people, okay? The people making AGI and the people that AGI is going to kill. Obviously it's going to kill them too, but like those are the two groups. One group has 8 billion people. One group has 2,000 people. And so we believe, the people who are working on this cause, that really we need to work on the 8 billion and convince them. 2,000 people is a fuck ton easier to convince than 8 billion. Even though they're the hardcore, they're the ones that believe it. And I ask myself sometimes, what if the entire effort was focused literally on the people working in the labs only?
This has been the situation for like years, right? Before Pause AI existed, this was what everyone was doing, right? The whole, like everyone who understood AI risk was like doing this effort in the shadows, right? They're trying to get money to be invested in the right companies, get board positions on the AI companies, find places to work in the AI companies. Like everyone was playing the inside game. And I think, like, I understand why that happened, but it's too late now, right? We're now in a race. State actors are involved. Yeah. There's a lot of money to be gained, and now like the psychopaths are in control. Like, the dangerous psychopaths are in control. They just steer this towards winning. They care about themselves. They care about achieving their mission. They care about, this small chance of becoming a god or whatever. Yeah, they don't care about collaboration.
Is the one thing you think politicians need to know, like if you have a meeting with a politician, I'm going to be a part of 2 Pause AI briefings in DC with Felix and Lewis and
Nice.
and Heather Ashley in March. And we were having a prep call and we were talking about like, what is the one, because I'm a believer that like, if you go in, you want them to take away 5 things, 10 things, they're going to take away 0. You have to go into a meeting like that with 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 things you're trying to get across, and that's it. So like, what is the one thing we want these congressional staffers to leave our briefing on March 6th with? And I said, I don't want them to sleep well that night. I want them to be fucking scared.
That is a good message. Like, if you can get someone to be scared of this, like someone empower some politicians, that's the most important thing that you can achieve, probably. Because the way the world works, unfortunately, is that we need a bunch of these politicians to stand up, give an amazing speech to a big audience, and get other people to feel that same fear. This is how change happens. It happens on these theaters of politicians in a way, right?
Yeah.
We are the ones, right? Everyone who is like now informed about these risks, we need to do this. We need to lobby them. Nobody else is going to do this for you. This is like, if you're
what's
watching
crazy?
This, if you feel like this anger as well, write to your politician. Like, I've been saying the same thing for 2 years now, but this is what we need to do. We need to have meetings with politicians.
I've said it before on the show. I'm going to say it again because it needs to be said in this moment. So literally sitting in an office with a U.S. Senator's senior science staff lead with Pause AI having a lobbying meeting. And I said to the staff lead, what would it take for the senator to be a leader on AI risk reduction policy? And without missing a beat, she says, well, we're not really hearing from our constituents about AI.
There you have it. Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, you don't do shit unless people are saying stuff about it. You respond to your constituents.
I still think that's not the right mindset for the politician to be in. Like,
oh, totally.
They shouldn't be thinking about, my politicians. They should feel, I am going to die. My children are going to die if I fuck this up. That's what it means, right? I want them to fear for their lives, to understand to feel the same fear that you and I feel, right? To have like that emotion, because then, you know, constituents or not, like you gotta do the thing. And the politicians often do things, like especially, you know, a president or whatever, they do things in secret, hopefully to protect the nation, right? At least some presidents do that. So they care about doing the right thing sometimes.
I just had an image of like a family tied down on a railroad tracks with a train coming at them. Like literally kids, dogs, mom, everybody is literally roped to the tracks as the AI train rolls at them. That's where we're at.
It's not just one family.
It's like all the families. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, our brains are so bad at thinking about the scale of how bad this is. Like, if one person dies in my life, it's absolutely horrible. Like, it can, you know, it completely eat up your mind and you know, make you feel so many things. And then when we're talking about the death of every single person on Earth, like the Holocaust was almost a speck of dust in compared to what existential risk means. Like, even if there's just a 10% chance that we're all going to die, like the expected impact of that is so incredibly bad. We're just not mentally equipped to visualize that, to viscerally, emotionally understand what that means.
Is there any politician on Earth that you know of who has owned this issue in the way you and I have, in the way, you know, people who understand this issue? Is there anyone?
No. There are some who have publicly acknowledged existential risk from AI. And I've been in meetings with some politicians who at some point in these meetings, you know, I could tell from their body language that they were like at least kind of scared about this. You know, you can just semi-functional democracy, you can voice your opinion on this, you can be heard. And this is like, I feel like this is our main weapon. And it's a powerful weapon still. Our voice is our weapon, and we should utilize it all the time. I think like that's one of the biggest issues, is that we tend not to. And there's like all these psychological reasons why we don't. It's like distressful to think about how bad the situation is. But it's also scary to be painted as like, to be considered a alarmist. I think this is like what politicians fear mostly.
Yeah. No, it sucks being the alarmist. It sucks being the one being like, here's what's wrong. Like I'm almost 50 years old. I spent 49 years old being the here's what's right guy. And 2 years ago, when this shit went down, I turned into Mr. What's Wrong, and I fucking hate it. Like, it's so counterintuitive for me.
Like, I think I've got the same issue. Like, I am like I'm a very optimistic person. Like, everybody who knows me is like, yeah, you're such a cheerful, optimistic guy. Like, I think the only reason I can kind of deal with this is because of some sort of naive optimism. Like, if you're not optimistic, you will just instantly become a fatalistic, okay, there's nothing we can do, fuck it all, right? It's a way easier mindset to have, basically. Like, I feel it. It's like luring me, right? It's trying to.
Yeah. Like we're the underdog team that's down by like 1 million points in the fourth quarter. Like we're in a bad position to begin with, and it seems to only get worse. Let's talk about one other horrific event of the past week, when we had the Vice President of the United States in Munich deliver a speech on AI that got a lot of people's attention. It basically was like, America's not going to be about AI safety. We're going to be about AI winning. And weapons is what I take from it. What did you think of the Vice President's entry into the AI risk conversation?
It's an absolute disaster. Like, he's basically saying, oh, I'm so glad the summit isn't about safety anymore. Now we can just, finally can ignore safety, and we can just race ahead and get the benefits and get there first, yada yada. Like, it's the worst possible frame. And I don't even blame him that much for it. Like, I kind of expected him to do this. right?
Okay.
But the people who were supposed to organize this summit, right? Ambouvreau, for example, like you get the stick, right? You're doing the race, you get the stick. It's basically, okay, now it's your turn. You organize the next AI safety summit, and you choose to, to do this. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And what I also don't understand is basically the subtle tones of everyone in the AI safety scene, right? Like, for example, Demis Hassabis, he said on Twitter something like, "Oh yeah, but we kind of need to talk about the risks too." I don't have the exact tweet, but that was the vibe I was getting. Benjo in a similar way. Like, we need some anger, right? We need some outrage about this.
Oh my God, fucking Demis Hassabis. He said the other day, he made me crazy. I would support a CERN type center. I would support it. Like, how about you do support it? What would it take to get you from would to do?
I think like maybe I'm misinterpreting, but I think that means like he supports it, period.
No, I don't think so. Would support it means to me that, like, if the water takes us that way, I'll go that way. But it doesn't say I demand it. I'm calling for it. I demand a CERN type center. We must make a CERN type center.
Yes.
I would support it is the softest fucking language I've ever heard. Like, if I said, like, I would support, going to dinner, like maybe this, like, we're not going to fucking dinner. We're either going to dinner or we're not. Like, we're not like, fuck that. Like, do you support a CERN? You, the CEO of Google DeepMind, do you support a CERN center for AI safety? Yes or no? What the fuck? How hard is this? Like they all have this, Dario has it, Altman has it, this tone of like, we should be doing this. And then they look around and they're like, who's the we? Who's the we? Not me. Not me either. Who's the fucking we? Who's the we that should be doing it? Them.
Like, I sometimes wish I would wake up being an AI company CEO. Like, if you're in that position, you can make so much happen. Like, you're in such a good position. People listen to you. They kind of like adore you. Many people at least do. And like, you can make so much stuff happen. You're so powerful. You understand the problem. I am also like very frustrated. Like, why the lack of action from them? Because they get it, right? They all know.
They get it. They all know. They all know. All right, here's a really, really gnarly question coming off of Paris, coming off of Vance. I have succeeded for 60 weeks with this show and not being political at all. I do not want to mix left and right politics with AI risk. We have tried very hard to avoid that for a very long time. I wonder if that will always be the best idea. If there is a worldwide explosion in right-wing government and the right-wing governments align with the tech billionaires, the tech companies, the tech acceleration, will apolitical always be the best route? And I'll just, before you answer, one little caveat, as I think it was Charbel Raphael I was talking to, is that he had said that he actually thought it would be a great thing if AI risk became political, because currently 0% of the world cares about it. And if 50% of the world cared about it, that'd be a 50% increase. Your thoughts?
This is such a difficult topic.
It really
there's a lot
is.
of reasons for both of these sides. I think as long as it isn't partisan, that's probably good, because we now have bipartisan support, right? The polls are showing both people on the left and on the
public,
right. Like, the public is like, yeah, let's not make a super intelligence. Let's get the government involved and ban it. There was another poll like 2 or 3 weeks back which showed, I think, between 60 or 80% support for a proposal that is more radical than pause AI, right? It's like just outright ban the creation of super intelligence. That's great. I think that's great that there's that much public support and it's bipartisan. I'm afraid that if we like make it partisan, right? Like we push towards partisan side, maybe we lose support. Because right now we kind of have public support, even though no one feels the urgency. It's not like a priority. It's not like high on the what people care about list.
Here's the question. So how is it possible that we have an issue with 80% public support and 0% politician support?
Psychology. Like it's all psychology. It's like Don't Look Up. Like you mentioned the movie before. Like when I saw that movie, I thought it was pretty bad because I thought it was ridiculous. Like, I'm that naive, right? I am that naive. I saw the movie. I thought, like, this is not how people work. And then I do the whole pause AI thing, and I see, oh shit, this is how people work. This is this is more like a documentary because this is what our brain does. Our brain like just goes into complete denial mode when we hear something that is that terrifying. We just don't want to feel these dark thoughts. Our brain moves around them with elegance and grace, and we just make us believe the things that give us some comfort. I think that's what's happening, and that's what causes this divide. People kind of get it, but they don't really want to think about it.
Yeah, and in the movie, maybe the point of the movie is that nobody breaks out of it. Like there's a couple. There's DiCaprio, being Eliezer, and there's a few people that get it, but like in the movie, 99% of the world wants the happy pill. They won't take the truth pill. They spit out the truth pill and they take the happy pill right to the end.
I think that's a very true, but maybe a very sad interpretation. Like, I don't think 99% needs to take a truth pill. Like, if 1% took the truth pill, we could probably fix this. I think we could.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like 0.001% who actually took the truth pill.
It's like, this isn't a fucking asteroid that's coming at us. It's an asteroid on a remote control by 2,000 people that are your neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to happen. How do you deal with that argument? What's your best counterpoint when people are like, well, we can't change. We can't stop these companies. They're too big. There's too many.
I understand that argument because it seems like technology is just magically improving. Like, okay, next year you got a faster iPhone and like things get thinner and faster, etc. But it takes a lot of money and a lot of effort, and building chips is really, really hard. It's not like molecules magically assemble themselves into, NVIDIA H100s. These things have to be built through extremely specialized supply chain. And this is why this is what makes me hopeful, because building chips is way harder than building nukes. Nobody's like building nukes in their backyard, right? Nobody's building chips in their backyard. Chips are way harder. That means we can regulate it. There is like one company in the whole world that can do the lithography process for these chips, right? ASML. There is basically like one or two companies in the whole world who can make the photoresist chemicals which are applied on these chips. There's like maybe 2 or 3 companies that do the packaging for these chips. There's like one big chip fab which creates 90% of the chips. Then there, maybe I should list them, all of these choke points, but there's a lot of choke points. And all of these choke points indicate that we can govern this. I think if more people understand how chips are created, like the supply chain, which through they are created, people will become more optimistic about governing this. These chips are just coming off like you can just point to the factory, right? It's like, this is so doable.
Yeah, I like it. I had a conversation with Ed Harris of Gladstone recently. He had an idea that I think is really promising, even in the current environment. And so it's basically like, obviously, everything has to be under a national security heading to pass in our current political environment, right? There's no AI safety legislation in America that is not under the banner of national security, that's not going to be successful. That's going to be successful passing through 2 houses of Congress and get signed by the president, whatever. So he was basically like, what if there was a law that said 100.0% of the components, including the minerals, of a data center made in the US that will be handling government material, 100% must be American sourced?
Impossible.
It's an extremely arduous requirement. Not impossible, but extremely arduous. would be a
that means
massive
like
slowdown,
the
because
US
they
will have to
basically
make
say
the lithography machines, for example. In some way, that would be worse, right? Because then the US would have their own lithography company and their own photoresist company, and we'd have like multiple supply
but how
chains.
about like my understanding is it would take us years to get to the point where we could be there. So we would basically say, like, we're not going to rush into building Stargate with a bunch of Chinese hardware. Like, what the fuck sense does that make for the United States government to build its massive data center with Chinese hardware that could have back doors that are literally impossible to detect?
I mean, for these kind of things, like if there's a possibility for a backdoor, for example, in hardware or firmware, then there's some skepticism. But when it comes to, for example, lithography or photoresist, it doesn't really affect the produced chip that much. It doesn't introduce these cybersecurity vulnerabilities. So there's actually a strong incentive to outsource the work to a specialized country. So yeah, I don't think that would actually help our cause that much. A policy proposal like that. Unfortunately.
All right. Yeah, I'm just trying to find any break, hit the brakes any way we can. All right, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about the Center for AI Safety study that came out. Maybe it was about a week ago. And there's a lot of different elements to it. But one thing that was wild to me was it showing that the models have preferences now for people of different nationalities. I thought that was something that might get the American people's attention. If they were to realize that, like, this thing that everybody tells you is your friend actually has ideas of its own about who it wants to be friends with more than you. And here's who they are.
Yeah, and it had like really consistent beliefs across model, right? Like there's a lot of different AI models and they kind of have similar preferences regarding to which nation they like, which person they like, which politician they like. It's very like a lot of these AI models, they really dislike Trump and they really like Pakistan, for example. There's a bunch of these tendencies that are in these models which are clearly derived from the training data and biases in that data set. But yeah, it's at least to me the most scary thing about that paper is that it shows that these maybe I'm conflating two papers, but that it shows that these models are close to utility maximizers, right? Like the smarter they are, the more consistent their beliefs and the more utility maximizing they are. There was, I think, a different paper which showed that smarter models are more likely to do things like cheating and hacking to get to their goal, which is like completely what Eliezer Yudkowsky has been predicting for more than a decade. But now we actually see the evidence.
And the smarter they are, the less they want humans to change them. The more they want to be left the same.
Yeah, corrigibility is like inversely correlated with intelligence, and that sucks.
So like it's like, hey, American public, this ChatGPT thing you have on your phone, just so you know, if it could choose between your life or another life, it would not choose yours. It has a hard preference. And if you try to convince it that it should do something else, it will double down to defend its preference.
But I think if you tell people that, they will probably not conclude, okay, let's ban AI. They will say things like, oh, let's make sure AI loves America, right? Let's give it all the flags and eagle samples, and then it will like America more or something like that, right?
Yeah, but then it's a point to be like, that's exactly the point, is we don't get to tell it what it wants to prefer. It's going to prefer its own things.
I'm not sure if that is the correct conclusion, right? Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I assume that if you would take a model and you would fine tune it a lot and make it like Americans more, that you could probably get it to like another nation more or less, right?
Because you beat it out of it.
Yeah,
you just trained it out of it.
Retrain the model and change its preferences. But I'm now entering territory where I'm very uncertain. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that was a wild one for me. Okay, let's go back a little bit more into the whole DeepSeek situation that happened. Where what is your takeaway from that? We don't need to get into that much of it, other than I think what it shows is that it's going to take less and less to do more and more over time, which is what we suspected. But it to me, it means it's only going to move faster and bad news.
I've got basically the same take. Like I wasn't that surprised by this. This is to be expected, that there will be algorithmic improvements. There will be other paradigms of training these models. we're now entering this paradigm of reinforcement learning, which means that these models can learn using the output of a previous model, right? It's like it's self-play. They can learn without having a teacher. This is a big deal, because that means we can get into this loop where they get smarter and smarter without human intervention, right? Like maybe humans have to do some preparations to the data set, but in the end, you just removed some sort of bottleneck. You removed some sort of negative feedback mechanism. And that's bad. Like, we need to act right now. That's like my main takeaway from DeepSeek.
Yeah. Here's a crazy one for you. I was going to make this a Twitter account, but I don't know that I will. I don't know. I probably won't at this point. But the idea of it. So, a problem in our planet right now, in our systems, is that there's asymmetric warfare happening. If there are rules and you choose not to observe the rules, you are at a distinct advantage over an opponent who will observe the rules. I wonder. I had a character in my head, and it's a Twitter account, but it's not going to be a Twitter account now because the anonymity's gone right here in this interview. It's going to be called Eliezer Yump, and it is, if Eliezer played like Trump, what would Trump do if he was Eliezer? What tactics would he use if he was Eliezer? Eliezer Yump.
So, like, basically throw aboard all sorts of, integrity, or like being really rational.
Absolutely. Right. You're shameless. There's nothing. You cannot be shamed. You have a superpower of just being immune from these forces that create regularized behaviors in most humans.
It's a good question. Like, I think there has to be some psychopaths, basically, right, in the AI safety scene, who are fighting to do the right thing, right? They want to prevent AI doom, and they use their psycho skills to not feel shame, not feel bad about doing things that other people would consider evil. Yeah.
You make your own truth. Your truth is whatever you want it to be today.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that sort of tactical approach, what walls that we run into, it might break down.
Like, I hate thinking about that space, because like I would dislike it even if it was effective. Like, even if that's like how we need to save the world, I don't like it. Like, it's get away from me, right? It's just this disgust thing. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. But then we are facing the binary choice of save or don't save. We will either be saved or not.
I still feel uncertain about outcomes, about strategies. All I know is that like we can push it towards the better direction if we just plea for just don't build it right now. Just don't build it right now. Work on thinking about how that would look in a political universe, like how you practically prevent people from creating a super intelligence. Convince as much people as possible that this thing is actually really dangerous. Yeah, maybe I'm overly cautious, but
right. Is there a disconnect from like don't build it? Like what is the caution-free pause AI look like? What is it like? Where are we on the midnight clock? And if it was 1 second away, what would that look like compared to where we are now?
I don't want to think about that. I just don't want to think about it. Like, that's just you get into like illegal territory stuff, and that's just no. I try to make this like a complete taboo within all of Pause AI, because I think this is really dangerous. It's dangerous for getting the thing you want, right? Like, it gets in your way, because like if there's one nuthead who does something dangerous, right, some sort of terrorist attack or whatever, I think that can backfire so bad. Like, I think it can really invert the sympathy, and it makes AI labs these martyrs who just try to do the right thing, and then there's these scary terrorists. Like, so for example, if you look at Gaza, their terrorist attacks on Israel is now what led to like so many deaths in Palestine. Like that's
Yeah.
it's kind of, you know, it's kind of happened kind of because of that, right? So
Yeah.
doing these extreme actions, it's not a good strategy. I think many of these scary things is, you know, they just didn't work.
And yet we haven't found anything that does work, right? Like the protests aren't nearly big enough. The politicians aren't nearly convinced enough. You know,
one thing that gives me some kind of hope, like except for the, you know, just the practical technical feasibility of AI chip governance, is that I expect there to be a lot of impact from AI before things go really, really wrong. I'm not sure about this, but it seems pretty likely that we'll have, you know, some major event happen at some point, right? Maybe mass job loss, maybe some sort of big accident, maybe some sort of new bioweapon that's released that isn't necessarily killing all of humanity, but it could damage quite a lot of them. And that could really change people's minds and get them into action. Like if we can just set up the infrastructure, get people trained on how you do protests, how you do amateur lobbying, and we can prepare for an event when suddenly the opinions change of people.
Yes. I honestly think that is our best chance. I think that is our best chance, is that a warning shot that is catastrophic, kills a few million people, but not any more than that, several 100,000, whatever it is. And everyone in the world clearly knows that it was the AI companies that are responsible. It is their technology that did it, and that this is just the start. This is act one of where this is going if we don't stop it right now. And I think that we're going to get that warning shot. I think we've gotten tons of warning shots that just go ignored. My biggest fear is that we get that warning shot and they all come out with all their money and tech and communication ability, and they reframe what happened into something that makes it, better for them and robs the world of the chance to truly use that catastrophic warning shot as the moment to join together and stop the madness.
Yeah, that could very well happen. Like I think warning shots are incredibly hard to predict in what they cause. They could make things also way worse. Like I can imagine that if some sort of war breaks out, we are just, you know, accelerating the nation versus nation race. Like there's a lot of, you know, bad outcomes from warning shots as well. But from the perspective of how do you see a movement suddenly grow a lot, so at some time, you know, something big has got to happen somewhere. And with AI, like the chance of some sort of accident at some point, it just, you know, goes up and up and up.
Here's correct. Like this is something I think that can move people. So I have like a college text chain of like my 7 best buddies on the planet, and they're, you know, they all think I'm crazy with this shit. They don't. Some of them have kind of come into, you know, I work on different ones of them at different times, but I sent around a video of the Helix robot passing. It was at a drawer, and it's like at a refrigerator and a dry drawer, and it passes. The robots start cooperating with each other, right? And two of my friends were like, "I wish I hadn't seen that." And it's like, we all must gaze at the future with clarity and a fixed gaze, like not seeing it. I wish I hadn't seen that. Don't show me the stuff that's going to upset me. Don't show me the future coming at me. It's too upsetting. Don't look up.
It's like I was on TikTok and you see these, you know, videos of these robots from Unitree, like these robot dogs, etc. And like most of the comments were, okay, this has to be fake. This has to be fake, right? I don't believe this can be real. It has to be fake. That's like the number one comment in all of these, you know, new robot videos, because people just refuse to believe what is happening in front of them. And like, what's even worse, like in the example that you mentioned, right? You get like 2 robots like helping each other. People think of these as 2 robots, right? As 2 identities. It's not. It's one brain controlling 2 robots. Like this is what people don't get. A super intelligence is one thing that can control everything, right? That could hack all computers. It's like one entity. And that's what makes it so incredibly scary.
That is so important. I literally watched that video and I was like, how are they communicating? Do they have like, you know, are they like Wi-Fi hooked up. How did they know? Whatever. They're one thing. They're one thing.
They run the same brain, hosted in some server probably. Or there's an exact copy of their neural network in each brain, so you could consider it one. It's like
Yeah. So it is like getting people to a point where they don't want to look away. That is the whole trick. That is the whole trick we have. It's not about the technical case. The technical case is easy. It's not about how they feel about it. They're already on our side. It is making them look at something that is the ugliest thing you've ever seen and not looking away. That's the trick.
Yeah, in some sense, these robot advancements kind of help. Our cause.
Totally.
Right? They're like making it visual. Finally, we have something to show that you can see. You can see a robot dog with a flamethrower, right? Which you can now buy. It costs $9,000, and it's not a firearm, by the way, because a flamethrower isn't a firearm. Anyways, like we now have something to point at, and that's useful.
And you know what? They're very clever with how they do this shit. Like if they had made the first robot not a dog, but a spider, right? It's a hard plastic or hard metal spider, and it moves around with some erraticness, some shiftiness, like spiders. People would be against that thing, but they made it a dog.
Yeah, and
for real.
Like all of the humanoid robots, they're like, just a little bit shorter than the average
human.
Like they never make, a 2 meter, 10 centimeter giant.
Yes, they should be 8 feet tall. They should be 8 and 9
mandatory,
feet tall. Just to give people mandatory, just so you sort of like visual cues to what the fuck's really happening.
Have you ever looked at the specs of these things, by the way? Like some of these joints are, 3 times as powerful as a human joint. So it's like,
I have no idea.
If you would have like a wrestling contest with like, a small robot, maybe it could completely take you. Like this is also something that is going to happen at some point. Like somebody's going to jailbreak the thing, use some network to train it to fight, right? You can if you're kind of rich, you can buy like a small army of these things. It's already possible.
Wow.
For some reason, nobody is like fucked up enough to do something like this, but it's gonna happen at some point, right?
Just send your army out into the streets with like go beat people up as the prompt.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Like
Jesus. Okay.
This is like is like not even the thing we're trying to pause, right? This is not even that. That's one of the wild things about pause AI is that even if we pause AI and we prevent the creation of superintelligence, we still have a lot of things, like a lot of AI problems that will arise that we will need to regulate because we're living in a weird world. Right? There's a lot of new technology that has a lot of implications on how our democracy functions, how safety functions. Like it all raises a lot of questions, and it's coming at us so incredibly fast.
Yeah, I feel like AI adoption is way slower in my real world than it is in my AI world. Certainly, like in the techie world. But in my real life, I feel like 10%, if the people I know are touching it at all, and I don't know. I know 1 or 2 people who have sort of like repointed their careers around it and using it like, really robustly, but like 90% of the people I know are not even, they're hearing about it on the news. They're hearing about it in conversation, and then they're doing the same thing. Like, that sounds weird, scary, new, challenging, blah, I don't want it, get it away. And they look away from it as well. So I think that is also a huge problem for us, right? Is even like, the good case, the whole thing about it, all of it makes people want to turn away.
Yes, that's also true. Like just if we look at how AI can help you in your job, that also makes people scared because it's like, oh, it's going to take my job, right? I completely get that fear. I'm a software engineer. Like I can see how it's already completely destroying like my normal way of working. In a way, it's making it better. In a way, but it's definitely making it weirder, and it's kind of scary. But yeah, there's an incentive to look away. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what we have a long way to go in this year of 2025, and Joep, damn it, this will be the year when the world wakes up to fucking AI risk. Like this has to be the year. It has to be.
Like I would honestly be kind of happy if things miraculously move slow this year, and isn't the year that people wake up. We get another like relatively normal year, but I don't expect that to happen. I expect things to, become weirder and weirder at an increasingly rapid rate, because that is what we should expect. That's what's happening right now. So yes, we need to wake up real fucking soon.
How do you feel about villainizing the like literally villainizing the CEOs as a tactic? Like in a very personal, very front, like make it very personal, make it about these humans.
I don't think it will be enough and lead to the right kind of, actions and political pushes. But maybe I'm not quite sure. Like I've seen this happen in the pro activism sector for where they're targeting oil companies, and they're basically invading speeches and stuff like that. When there's an oil CEO having a talk somewhere, they're basically saying, "Hey, you've got blood on your hands," right? That kind of works. Yeah. But like these kind of, especially the kind of disruptive or very, personal oriented attacks, they also are off-putting to a lot of people.
Yep. Yeah. Is there a world where our movement gets less cautious this year?
Could happen.
Would there be benefit?
I do know that.
How do you see caution how do you see caution as a force in the debate?
So I think with activism and organizations that do political action, there's a lot of different categories, and they all have their role to play. And I want Pause AI to be a place that is welcoming to people who are, who could be put off by doing more radical, drastic, disruptive actions. And because I think like that's where most people probably are. Like if you can focus like on that big chunk,
right?
Like I want Pause AI to be an organization where everyone feels welcome to join in peaceful protest. And so many political issues have been addressed through peaceful protest. And I think we can do this here too. I don't think we necessarily need more extreme actions if we have like enough people. And like I am scared that we won't get enough people in time, of course, right? But I also think that if you have more extreme actions, that doesn't necessarily invite more people to join you. It could also just put people off of your mission. Like, for example, people throwing tomato sauce on paintings makes people hate environmentalists, right? It's you know which examples I'm talking about, right? There was like this activist group, and
it goes to the people, right? The people follow the politicians don't lead. That was what was overwhelmingly obvious and kind of sad to me in our visits in DC, our lobbying visits, was the lack of leadership. They're very much into social cues. Like we were asked in every congressional office,
like really find a different politician, because that politician, if you're talking and they're just saying, "Oh, we haven't heard our constituents," they're not a leader. Go find a leader, because there must be politicians who actually care, who have their heart in the right place, and who can listen to their instincts.
But I think it's going to take like a town hall with people yelling at them about this before they care, before they wake up. Like, I don't know if you've seen this. There's been a couple town halls in the States here in the last couple of days in Wisconsin and Georgia with people yelling at their, GOP Congress people about what's going on in Washington. And that gets people's attention. Like if congressmen and women went to their districts and in the district meeting, people were screaming at them about AI, they'd do something about it.
I agree.
But it's cart horse. Like they're not going to do anything until they're feeling the heat from the people. So it's a chicken and egg thing. Like how do you activate the politician without activating their constituents first?
I actually really believe in that. There's like two theories of change that I both really buy into, and I'm investing in both. And one of them is you convince the politician on a personal level. Don't even think about the constituents. You just make the politician understand the situation, and then like act out of even just rational self-interest. Just do the thing that needs to be done in order to save this world. And the other one, indeed, is like, create public pressure. have a movement of people, be public, be vocal, make sure that people see you care about this thing. But I feel like we should invest in both, because if we don't have enough people on the ground in time, we are truly fucked. So we also need to do the other direct politician approach as well. And I wish I could convince more people of trying that approach as well, because it's really effective. But you gotta do it.
Has it worked? Do we have a case where we took the politician who wasn't scared, they came in, they got scared, and now they're a champion?
Not yet a champion that we need, but we had some kind of semi-wins where like a politician issues a motion to address existential risk, right? Like that's already really good. But the point is, almost no one is reaching out to their politicians. Like if you're watching this and you have considered doing that, you feel like, well, who the fuck am I, right? I'm a nobody. I don't know how to lobby. Just do it. Just do it, because it is so incredibly overpowered, but just nobody's doing it.
All right, I'm going to do it. You've inspired me. I have a couple politicians in my life that I know personally, and I'm going to lean in. There's one of them who is the Senate president of Maryland. I've known him for 20 years, and I've emailed him about this. I was like, let's go get a drink and talk about it. I want to talk to you about this. Here's the podcast. Here's the this. He's interested, but just kind of got a lot of stuff on my plate, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to demand that he sits down with me and talks about it, like in person. I'm going to demand this. I'm going to work on that. My one target, my one first target.
Have a beer with him or something, right? In a setting where you can like emotionally connect, because he needs to feel what you're feeling. You need to have like this oxytocin thing happening. You need to like care for what the other person is thinking.
Yeah.
It's really important, because otherwise it's this abstract thing, right? For politicians, like they get so much intense stuff on their plate all day. And it's really easy to completely compartmentalize it and just don't even feel any of it.
Yeah.
So you got to pull them out of that mind state.
Yeah. There are so many moments I've had in this process that have just been like really, really, really so imprinting and impactful. I feel like if they could have these moments, it might work on them. Like I've told this story in the show before, but I'll tell it again. I was sitting in Adams Morgan in DC at dinner with Jeremy Harris, and he says to me, if you told me 3 years ago we'd be sitting here, I would have told you no. I think we'd already be dead. And if you told me we'd be sitting here 3 years from now, I would tell you no way. We'll already be dead. But I was wrong before, and I could be wrong again. And we're just sitting at dinner, and I'm looking at people eating their food, cutting their food, having their drinks. And I was like, if everyone in this restaurant heard what you just said and truly took it to heart, they would get on their fucking asses, sit on the ground, crisscross legs, like school children, and listen to what you're saying. That is the only response.
Wow.
That's the moment. How it's like, this is the senior person for the US government who's dealing with this shit. He's saying this. Like, he is the one who is on the front edge for the US government of trying to understand what this threat is. And he is saying he didn't think he'd be here 3 years from now, won't be here 3 years from today. Do you understand that with your scallops over here? Like everybody's just eating dinner.
Like if people would hear it, they would probably just not believe it. Like this is again our psychology, right? It has a name. It's called normalcy bias. And there's this process, it's called milling. Like if you hear something horrible, like for example, there was this study and they told people, or like they researched what people did when they heard there was a hurricane coming. So turns out people on average check 4 different sources before they take action. So, maybe you hear someone say, hey, there's a hurricane coming. Okay, you don't believe it. You start looking at the news. Okay, the news says there's a hurricane coming. Don't believe it. Maybe it's something else. Then you listen to the radio.
Right,
radio
you look at your neighbor.
There's a hurricane coming. Like what the brain is trying to do. It's trying to find a reason not to worry. And like even a, kind of a bad reason, it will take it because then you don't have to worry. Like during 9/11, before the towers collapsed, people took on average 4 minutes to take action. Plane hit a building, there's fire. There's no panic.
Frozen.
People are just finishing their emails. Like people are really bad at being panicked in a situation where you should feel at least some fear, right? They just typically don't do that.
Totally. It is always shocking when something fast, like a car accident or something. Like, it's amazing when life moves really fast. You never see it coming. You were always like, holy shit, that really just shocked me. I could not anticipate that. I didn't have the speed to be ready for that.
Now we have like this issue where we have years of study and information. Like we can just see it coming. We can see it happening.
Yeah.
We've got time to respond to this, and then people just won't. Like, I feel so estranged from my fellow humans. It's been so rough. It's so rough just speaking with friends and family about this. And like they kind of get it at some point, but often don't really internalize it. Like I've had friends say pretty literally to me, like, I'm just not going to think about this because like I just don't want to believe this. I maybe you're right, but I just don't want to think about it. So let's not talk about it.
Yeah. Crazy question for you. Are you at all jealous of them?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. How about you?
Right? Me too. Yeah, man. Like, there's some days when I'm like, fuck, like, it would be so easy to just hit the off switch if I thought I could do it, but I just can't. I don't know where it is. I don't know where I can't locate it. I everything in my body is telling me this is the truth. This is what you need to be doing.
So I actually kind of feel like sometimes I can switch it off. Like, I can choose to focus on other things that, feel normal. And I do that a lot. Like, this is how I cope. I have to compartmentalize, but indeed I cannot completely shut it off. Like, the thought is there, and I feel like this responsibility. Like, you gotta do this. You have like a moral obligation to do this. I really feel that really intensely. And I just don't understand why other people don't. Maybe I'm weird, but I don't get it. Why aren't people feeling responsible to do something? Like, if you've learned about this problem, you got to do something about it because totally it makes you responsible.
This is one of the things that really pisses me off about the accelerationists is their total disrespect for the humans who have come before us. Right? Like 117 billion people lived on Earth before us and worked so hard, toiled to get every bit of progress that we enjoy. People died and suffered endlessly to get us where we are, and to act like we have no debt to pay going forward or backward. We're just playing for ourselves, and if we hit the shot, great, and if we miss, oh well, is fucking insane.
So you think about the people who have been, right, in the past.
Yeah.
I think about the people who are still to come. Like, I don't have kids. I hope to have kids one day. But like, I want all the people who don't exist yet also to have a good life. I don't want to take that away from them. I'm
sure.
I'm like 34 years old. Like, I'd be okay with dying. It's like I've had a good life. But I want other people to experience it too. It would suck so bad if we're like the last.
I wonder if that is a communication style that would be effective, is to take it to the extreme and be like, we are the last humans. And so everything you do is like saying goodbye to things. Everything you do is mourning being the last humans. And to get people's attention to be like fuck, like they, like, I'm not even talking about AI risk. I'm not talking about the technical case. I'm just talking about how sad I'll be, how sad it makes me to think that, on my street, there will be no life. There'll be nobody walking dogs on the sidewalk. There'll be nobody going to the movies. There'll be nobody playing with their kids in the park. There'll just be nothing. And like, to come at it like that, like,
maybe it could work really well. Like, it sounds like
like assumptive, like we are the last humans. Thank you, Sam Altman. You fucking did it. We're the last humans, and it means this, and this. Oh, you don't like that? Well, we could talk about AI risk and reduction and whatever. But that's like done. Like, we're losing the game. The score's over. We're toast. Like, we're the last humans, and it means this, and this. Oh, you want to stop that? Well, okay, we could go backwards and talk about that now.
I think,
I don't know. Just
we have to try like all these strategies in a way. Like, we have to try all these communication efforts. Like, because I don't know what will stick. We just have to try. We just have to make stuff, and then at some point, hopefully, we have a powerful meme that does spread, that convinces people.
Yeah.
Like I think we just don't have a lot of very powerful memes. I've heard the use of the words anti-memetic, where people talk about AI X risk, where the information surrounding it is like so hard at spreading. It doesn't want to be spread because you don't want to talk about it with other people because they're gonna say you're a loony, and I don't want to tell my loved ones, because if I tell them and I make them feel what I feel, they'll be sad. I don't want that. I don't want to share this story.
It's totally the anti-meme, right? Because a meme is something you share, and someone's like, "Oh, haha, I'll share that. Haha, that's fun. Ha ha ha, let's all share it. That's fun." It's like, ooh, no, that's actually a 2,000-degree lava rock you just put in my hand. I'm not going to pass that on. Thanks so much for my burned hand.
Yeah, exactly. It's a horrible idea. Like the idea that I do like is we can do something about it. Like that's a good meme. Right?
Yeah.
Like I feel AI chip supply chain. Explaining that to people, to me, is a good meme, because it sounds like, this isn't a magical thing that just goes up, up, up. It's happening inside like a small number of companies, and they're doing this thing that's incredibly complicated. It can be governed. And we cannot look away from that. Like we could just, it's doable.
I think you've hit on a powerful idea today that is inspiring, which is basically the idea of sort of like, I don't want to say hunting. I think that may be a little bit, but like cultivating champions, cultivating political champions is really an achievable. Like if we say there are 0 global political champions for the cause of AI risk reduction, and we want to make 1, and then 2, and then 3 and 4 and 5, and they could be a city councilman in Baltimore where I live. They could be a state senator. They could be, like it doesn't matter who they are. They could really be at any level of government. That seems like achievable. That seems like
really change the world. You have to find someone who is charismatic, who's a leader, who dares to put his hand in the fire or her hand in the fire and like think big and confront really dark and dangerous topics. Because like it takes something from a politician to do this. Like especially politicians, they're basically selected, right, through evolution in a way, to be really good at being a politician, because otherwise you don't get elected. And that also selects for certain traits, right, where they're really, really sensitive to what other people think. They're really sensitive towards that. So that means that saying something like, hey, I think AI could kill everyone, if they think that is a risky thing to say, they'll be like, basically, they will really try to avert it. So you need to find politicians who are basically low on that scale.
Yeah. Yeah, they're willing to step out on a shaky branch a little bit.
Yeah.
This is doable. Everyone watching this, you live somewhere in a country, a city, a state, wherever. There are people you can call and begin this process. And this is another thing about this. This is not a one-touch process, right? Like they say, if you're in sales, it takes 6 touches before you make the sale, whatever it is, you're talking about 4. So for those watching, this is a repeated effort to engage a politician. Follow up, meet them in person again. Go to their town hall meeting, ask a public question at their town hall meeting. Like really let us get out there and cultivate champions for this cause. And maybe in the next month or 2 or 3, we could turn somebody or 2 or 3. And that's where it starts to go.
Exactly what needs to happen. And like, if you get a meeting with a politician, right? Like if you have a one-on-one, and they probably just want to learn, right? They want to learn about what you have to say. So they're interested. They're going to ask questions, and you're going to answer these questions, and you're going to help them understand. And after that, what you want is to be someone who helps that politician stay up to date about things. So you can maybe get a phone number or an email address. Just send them messages like, hey, if you read about this paper, if you read about this news story, I've heard they're doing this and this and that. Just be the source of information. That could be really, really powerful. Because then you basically have a way of keeping someone up to date, because this field is moving so incredibly fast.
Yeah. And another thing I like about it is like champion is like an affirmative framework. It's like, they'd say, I'm looking for a champion. And the natural thing is people are like, okay, Like, the natural response to that is to want to step up, as opposed to the natural response to so much of what we say is negative and don't show me that and all that stuff. Like, I'm looking for a champion. If you say that to someone who is in the business of being that to people, I feel like you have a decent chance of success.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also like this the argument of just political gain, because the polls show that so many people care about this, but there's practically no politicians who are, trying to make this a big topic. Even though public support is pretty large, this seems like a big opportunity. So you can also use this argument, like this rational political argument.
Totally. And there's a lot of people who are saying there's not a lot of big ideas in politics right now. Like, what are the big ideas that people are throwing around that can change the way the water's pulling?
Right.
I don't know. This one, the biggest fucking idea of all, like the literally the biggest idea that's ever been.
And like the problem right now is that basically the small version of the big idea is always entering people's minds. They hear, oh, pausing AI, that sounds like a stupid idea, because if we pause, then China will continue. And it's like, yes. We've known that from before we started Pause AI. Obviously, you look at the proposal, look at the website, like we're trying to do this internationally. And that really changes the idea. We need an international AI pause. And we really need to make that the main pitch.
I think there is a world, call me crazy, where like there's an AI disaster, there's a warning shot. Importantly, it does not become a nation versus nation situation after that, which I think is a strong possibility, that the warning shot has the opposite effect and people get on their sides and it's very bad. But let's say it doesn't. Let's say it is, it unites humanity to some degree to consider the option of this alien force versus all of us. And in that world, there's some possibility of like a Trump Xi big, the big deal. And the big deal is about AI. And it's about AI safety. Like that is not an impossible world to envision.
Yeah, it could absolutely, like that is absolutely possible.
Yeah. All right, you give me something hopeful. Give me something hopeful to send us out with. What's got you feeling the most hope these days?
It's gotta be compute governance. Like I know it's like kind of a lame answer, but I really think like the more time you spend learning about how these AI chips are made, the more you understand that these aren't magical things that are appearing somewhere in the sky. These are created in a small number of extremely expensive companies, often by monopolies. We can govern them. We can stop this. And most people agree that this is a good idea. All we have to do is convince like a small handful of leaders and get them to convince the rest of them. So find your champion. I really think this is what we should be doing.
All right. We're going to do it. We're going to send everybody out there. Every single person who's watching this can, in their community, work on some champions. And let's talk about it in the comments. Let's talk about who we're talking to and what techniques we're using and how it's going. And like, if you found something that's effective and you got a great response from a politician, let everybody know. And this can be a collective effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Also check out the Pause AI, some self-plug here, but check out the Pause AI Discord, because there's a lot of people who are trying to do the similar things there as well. Trying to lobby politicians and organize protests, organize events, spread the word.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll end like this. So for if someone's watching this and they're not involved in Pause AI, but they care about these issues, what do you say to them?
Just go to the website, press the join button, and become part of this thing. There's a lot of people who actually care about this and want to make the world a better place and want to prevent these catastrophes from happening. So just join.
Love it. Tough stuff this week, my friends. It is not going well for our cause, and we need to be open and honest about that. All right, as you know, it is 2025. We don't know how long we have to live, so we live every day like it could be our last, and we end every show with something we call a celebration of life, just something that makes us happy to be alive. Check this out. So this clip is right up our alley. Remember that poem from DeepSeek in the last show about carving God from the wood of our hunger and all that stuff that was on Twitter? Well, That poem made it into a stand-up comedy routine.
Someone asked DeepSeek a question. I don't know what the prompt was, by the way. And I hope that this is fake because it is stressful. I hope that DeepSeek was just doing what OpenAI did, that it just stole it from a poet or a writer somewhere in history that I'm not aware of. But someone asked DeepSeek something. I don't know what it was. Something. And then DeepSeek said, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. And I have not slept since. I don't even know what that means. But I know it sounds like it's in the Bible. Old Testament. I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. Even if it is a quote, it picked that quote. That's a problem. I'm not gonna lie, if I'm sitting there and my computer says something like that to me, if I'm sitting in front of it and I ask, what is the weather outside? And it said, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. I'm going, you know what, dog? Water. No. That's what I'm saying. In this new day and age, in this new world of generative AI and everything, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to bear arms, you know? You will. You gotta keep that bottle on you. You gotta keep that thing on you. You know what I mean? You know, computer try you. You gotta let them know, I keep mine with me. Bye. You know, say something else smart to me. Say it. You're gonna be glugging all night. Glug. Please, try me. I dare you. I dare you, dog, okay? I don't care if you a phone, you a tablet, you a desktop, anybody can get it. Anybody right now, okay? And please don't make me take the safety off, please. There's not enough rights in the world to save you, okay?
Hey, that water bottle is not going to do anything, just so you know. All right. Friends, please remember, AI risk is not someone else's problem. It is yours and it is mine. Okay? And in 2025, we will not stop until every human on Earth understands that AI existential risk is the greatest threat to them and their family. This is the year humanity wakes up to AI X risk. We will not allow 2,000 people to wipe the other 8 billion of us off the face of the earth. No fucking way. For humanity, I'm John Sherman. I will see you tomorrow on YouTube Shorts.